Hey, welcome back to the ESL Pro League. T-Squared and Ryu hanging out at the Xfinity desk. I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, SanDisk, for making this season so awesome. We appreciate the continued support. Also, if you guys are not aware, ESL 1 is right around the corner. It's going down October 1st and 2nd at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. That's 8 teams competing for $250,000. But the action doesn't stop there. Ryu, the Street Fighter V Brooklyn beatdown is taking place. That's an open tournament that you can compete in for $75,000. And for more information on that, ESL-1.com. And no, that's not a bunch of us just coming together and beating each other down. It's an actual Street Fighter tournament.
I don't know if it would be, I mean, I'm obviously a Street Fighter fan, given the alias. I think the Brooklyn beatdown, if like a whole bunch of gamers just showed up and beat the crap out of each other, I'm not encouraging violence, so don't do this. For 75 grand would be pretty entertaining. I would watch it. I would buy a ticket.
All right, well, let's take a look at the rosters and taking a look at CLG's first. And yeah, a lot of backwards names.
Yeah, Steven Relta Cutler, a.k.a. Cutler, a.k.a. The Apocalypse. You've got James Hayes Cobb, also a male model. Kenneth Kusta Swen, enemy Kusta Best Kusta. Ethan Nati Arnold, because his name is also backwards. And Yassine Sabroza, don't know how to say it.
All right, well, let's take a look at their competition, and that's going to be compLexity. And who are you looking to step up here? Is it going to be Uber? Your boy
Still
Uber?
looking for Uber. Yeah, still waiting for Uber to step it up. I know he didn't play very well yesterday, and I know what he's capable of delivering, but we just haven't quite seen it yet. I actually have been impressed. I think Def's really played well, and I think Android right now is the best player on the team. Rip Whitmer. Just saw Whitmer's name there in the middle. He will not be there today.
Yeah, so who's going to step up big on that CLG side? Are you looking at Sabroza there?
I'm going to say Hayes, just because I feel like he's the best-looking guy on that team.
Yeah, is that what we're going for?
That's what I just feel like.
Reminds me of that fantasy football commercial. You ever see that where it's the girls and they're the best fantasy football players in the world and they're just picking the best shopping? You ever see that one?
I can't remember who the ad was for, but yeah, I know. I think Hayes has actually played pretty well. I know that a lot of the firepower on this team used to come from Tarek, used to come from JDM. Now Kusta was what I thought was a very good op. He's no longer opping. I think Cutler's done an okay job, but I feel like Hayes, he's also an emotional player, so I would like for him to step up. A, because he's good looking. B, because I think he's the emotional leader of this team, and C, because when he plays well, I think the people around him play well, and I think it's important for them to have that tonight.
So what do you think that these guys' mental, what are they thinking mentally coming into this game? Because they're kind of in the same situation that Selfless is, and you guys are pretty much playing for pride at this point. What do you think that the coaches or managers are telling these guys on the Counter-Strike side to stay focused?
Stop playing World of Warcraft.
Is that what's going on?
I'm telling you right now, that's probably the first thing Garrett tells them when they get up. I think that's part of it. And then I think some of it is like, yeah, guys, like we know we're better than we've been playing. Obviously, it's a new 5. They struggled to kind of develop those players so far. They haven't had the chemistry. They haven't had the teamwork. They haven't had the high-level play that you would expect to see, especially from a team that had been in a major recently. Obviously, the roster is different, but there's still the 2 core players. I think they... If I'm Garrett at this point in the season, I would experiment, and this is something that I would have done anyway. But I'd say, Kusta, I think you're going to start opping again. Like we're so far away from playoffs. Like let's take a couple chances. Let's mix some things up and see what shakes out. I would love to see that. Watching Kusta op always warms the cockles of my heart. I love dropping that turn of phrase. I think that's just a good one. And so, yeah, that's what I would do. If I'm Garrett right now, I'm saying, guys, stop casting magical spells and running out of mana in World of Warcraft. Kusta, you're opping tonight. And let's go out there and let's beat a team that we know we should beat.
There you go. That's what I like to hear, Ryu. Tell it how it is, man. Tell it how it is. But, guys, the players are slowly trickling into the lobby. So I'm going to throw this on over to the casters. It's going to be Dazed and Blue.
Yeah, we're still waiting on a few more to join. I think we got about 8 in the Go TV at the moment. So just waiting for 2 or 3 more to hop in there, and then we should be able to get started with the match. Dazed, your opening thoughts on this matchup?
Opening thoughts. I thought when Ryu said if he was Garrett and was the coach and he was going to experiment, I thought he was going to say experiment with Hazed. By like what he was talking about earlier, but he went a different route. Anyways, CLG on a massive win streak right now. Massive win streak.
Just a single win, though.
A single win, but for them it's great.
That's massive.
For them, it's a massive win streak.
The only question is now, are they going to be able to continue that?
Exactly.
It took a lot of effort to get to this point. Now, though, they're at risk of dropping it against compLexity.
Well, it is Dust2, and I do agree with Ryu, though. Like, I don't know. I think if they just let all their players kind of run loose, play very, very free, I actually do think they could pick up a few wins on the season. I mean, they're 3-11. They still have a lot of matches to play. I think they still have 12 matches to play, right?
I think
that's a long time. They might be trying to be too structured, right? If you want to, I think in the long run, playing like more structured and stuff like that is pretty good. But when it comes to just winning matches, you know, they don't have the experience on two of these players, on Sabrosa and Ethan, to really get those wins. And generally, if you want to actually just try to get wins and not get in relegation, even though it's not better for the long run, it's better to just play free, let your guys do what they want. Hey, if you think you can get a kill here, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, and we don't know the exact sort of relegation rules yet for this season, as we're still waiting for those to be clarified. But at the moment, I think these two teams are sitting in second to last and third to last place in the rankings. So both of them in sort of that danger zone, wanting to obviously make sure they can get any wins that they can find as we get closer and closer to the end of the season, so that they can obviously avoid that possible little gap there that would crawl them and pull them back down to Premier level, should they be so unlucky as to be in the bottom 3 or 4 towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm surprised at Sabrosa's stats, man. Like, I thought Sabrosa was going to be... I mean, when I played with him with, like, Rank S and stuff, I thought it was pretty good. And, like, his stats are just... I mean, obviously stats aren't everything, you know, but we've seen CLG play, and they're kind of... Generally speaking, a lot of the time they're kind of a mess. But, you know, 198 kills, 273 deaths, 14 less kills than Hazen and Cutler, who are the other two lowest frags. So not really performing well statistically, and I think that's what we were thinking, you know, like we've seen him play, we see that he has a lot of skill, a lot of talent, but just doesn't result in kills for whatever reason.
I mean, even when they went to Northern Arena too, he had like 1 or 2 good matches, but for the most part, he was still he was fairly inconsistent across the board. And I mean, that was the case for all of CLG when they went to Atlanta. They still seem like a very unorganized team, and there isn't a lot showing as of yet for the squad.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I'm on the record saying I like what they did. I think it's better to pick up, you know, 2 guys who you think have a lot of potential than it is to just pick up 2 guys who maybe you win a couple more matches this season, you know, but their options weren't like they're going to be a playoff team. You know, their options, if they would have picked up the best available player, they still wouldn't have been a playoff team. But picking up guys who have really good potential, maybe in the future, not only will they be, you know, they could be a playoff team, right? That's kind of my thinking on it, but it just hasn't shown any glimpses of like success this season.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And I mean, the best comparison we can make to that at the current status of it would be when we initially saw Stewie going to Cloud9, as everybody's like, oh, why would they even pick him up and whatnot? Mm-hmm. He's, you know, completely untested in that regard. He showed that, but it obviously was a very gradual process for Stewie, and that we did start to see improvements pretty quickly with him, and it just increased over time to where now he's probably the most highlightable player for Cloud9 on the squad. Whereas this guy's with CLG with the 2 new players they picked up, we've seen some okay stuff I think from Ethan, but Sabrosa hasn't really been showing up yet, and we haven't really seen them coming together as a 5-man unit and showing us anything impressive in the time that they've been together.
I wish I could, like, if I could get in an interview with them, like, off the record and ask if it was, like, kind of a flop or if they could do it again and have a completely truthful answer, if they would still pick up Sabrosa and Ethan or if they would go a different direction. I have no idea. I have no idea if they would have said, yeah, we would have went a different direction, or if they're actually really happy with it and they see potential in it in the future. I have no idea, man.
Yeah. So it's always a bit of a...
What do you think, Blue?
I don't know. I feel like... Are we asking them this like off the record right now, or like when this first happened?
No, like off the record now, in hindsight.
I feel like in hindsight, everybody's like, because obviously with it going bad right now, most of them are probably gonna say like, oh yeah, it hasn't really been working out so well. Especially if you're asking them that like off the record. But that really all comes down to the like, I don't feel like we would ever really get like a true thought from those players if we talk to like the core 3 that are on the roster now, because you never really know. I feel like they're gonna give you an answer based on that. You know, really, it's gonna be really circumstantial based on the way that they've been playing as of late. And at the moment, I feel like they would say it was a mistake currently.
I think they would have kept doing it, actually. I think they would have said, you know, I see a lot of potential in these guys. We just need to harness that potential as we see it is going live. Kusta getting in the same spot where Pete got last time, right? So we'll see if it works out for him again.
Initially here, Def is going to find the kill from down below there. Kusta, though, peeking back out from the box position, finds the first pickup. Almost picked off from top there, but actually does respond with some pretty good damage onto 8, bringing him down to 71 HP. Sabrosa is trying to sit back here and watch out as well, but for now they push the guys from compLexity back. Kusta, though, pushing in, finds 2 of the members from compLexity sitting over here on the top tunnels, taking down Kusta, bringing, again, things into the favor of compLexity. Now they're just going to group up in the upper tons and try to push into B.
Yeah, so it doesn't work out for Kusta too well. He was pinched, felt pressured to make a move, goes towards upper, and now Hayes in a spot where he can multi-frag.
He's going to try to catch them as they push their way out. The flashbang doesn't do much, and Uber, unfortunately, just shuts him down before any real damage is returned onto these members of compLexity. Now, They're going to be able to get themselves up onto the site. A little bit of damage taken on the cross through the doorway there, but nothing so much here, as obviously they've got pretty much full control of things in the 4v2 now. Sabrosa and Ethan, the two new pickups here for compLexity, or apologies, for CLG, are going to try to push their way back into the site. Surreal already finding Sabrosa though, and for Ethan, unfortunately, he just cannot find a way into the site to begin with here. He's surrounded, tries to fall back there to take the player who pushed him from window, but he'll fall to Uber, and compLexity will find the pistol pickup.
Yeah, nice shots by Uber. When you're Hayes there, when you're on that barrel, it may seem like a really good idea to crouch behind it, but it's actually much better to actually wide peek around the big box. And it's not only easier shots or shoulder peek and go back and forth, but you're going to have a lot more success getting headshots like that than the way he did it. So Kusta scouting up, challenging Depp right there at middle, hits him through the wall for about 33 damage. And we're seeing another B tunnel push. Very, very common anti-eco here, Blue. You have somebody watch the cross. If you only see 2 or less, you just run into B, take it over, take the battles, and now this retake is so difficult, and that's why you see it so often.
Yep, and compLexity will waste no time getting control of it too, even pushing back into the upper halls again, have Def watching out for the counter push that would work its way into the tunnels, but CLG are wrapping all the way over here towards T-spawn, only keeping Kusta to watch for the mid doors. The other 3 are sitting over here by spawn. Def is going to run into one of them there. He's getting shot from the other direction, although he hasn't realized it yet. Falls back outside though. Now they know exactly where the remaining members of CLG should be hiding out around here. They're ultimately just falling back to try and see if they can save a couple guns. Cutler will succeed in picking up his first kill, but now again will be pinched here. He'll have to retreat inside of the long door hallway. Looking to try and stay alive, and Def hoping he doesn't get timing here, as we do see the player Sabrosa peeking him from around the corner back in T-spawn. Works out for the CTs as they do take down Def. So let into a 3v3 more than likely, but once more we see Android pushing back in. Down goes one of the remaining members of CLG, but the other 2 will make it out of the round alive.
Yep, so 2-0. Third round here should be pretty easy, but those 5-7s with head armor can be very, very dangerous. So as long as they avoid them, they should be able to take this round. 4 Molotovs on the compLexity side, 3 SMGs and a couple AKs, and it looks like they're just going to do the same exact thing. Very difficult to stop, though.
Yep, and again, they're just going to rush right forward, too. No need to slow down or take this slowly, especially with the weakened, even weaker, I should say, for CLG now in this round. But for some reason, nobody checking around the corner towards the card position, so Kusta actually does find a first pickup there. Surreal correcting it, though, finding 2 of his own, and now it's cleanup duty for the rest here. Uber spotting the first one. The peek from the player of the right boxes here does catch him a little bit off guard, but again, they've got plenty of players here. Def is able to push himself out there with Surreal from the window spot there to shut it out, while Cutler does steal away an additional pickup. Uber shuts it down. It's the quick 3-0 start for compLexity as we get into our first gun round.
Yeah, and great start for compLexity. You know, we talked about it yesterday. They kind of need to hit the ground running. Usually when they lose matches, they almost never get any rounds on the board. So that, to me, says they're a very momentum-based team, and winning a pistol round is just huge for them, especially on Dust2, where you could run teams over, especially when you have low nades on CT side.
Early up shots again, trying to time it as they crove the cross through the doorway there. It does not allow them to find any shots.
And I just have such a problem with Cutler opping. I mean, Cutler's a good player, and he's a much better player when he rifles, but we've seen Kusta's peak with an op. Yeah, he was playing terrible on Liquid, but I really think that had much more to do with his surroundings, right? And it's like, Kusta's peak with the op is so much higher than Cutler's. Why is Cutler opping? I can't wrap my head around it, Blue.
We'll see if they decide to slip that up at all as this match continues forward. But for now, he is the one playing with it. Again, tries to go for the timing shot here up on top of the catwalk position. Behind the bricks, misses, falls back, and now is going to play over here towards T-ramp as we wait for the impending hit from compLexity. At the moment on the catwalk areas where they're favoring it, but obviously this could change up at a moment's notice. Judging from the current spot they have here, this could very easily evolve into a mid to B hit or something of that nature, although it seems to be pretty heavily favored at this point, leading out towards A.
Yeah, but they have options. They could easily go spawn drop into mid B. They can do whatever they want. That's what's so great about having catwalk control.
They will start to push themselves in here too. Early damage going on to Sabrosa actually, as there's a bit of a mini battle out by the long doors there. And Ethan will find one, but it's traded out by both Def and Ape, finding 2 of their own pickups here. So compLexity get control of the A-bomb site. They're going to be able to walk right on. The only one that's in immediate danger of them would be Sabrosa backed by Pit, but he's playing it a little bit more passively too while he waits for Kusta and Hayes to get into position to move in for the retake. Now they're going to start to shift their way back up, but even here things aren't safe. Thankfully, a good pop flash allows for a dip and peel away from Kusta. Rolls right in there, finishes off Def, taking him down, evening out the manpower here once again into a 2 versus 2, and Kusta wasting no time pushing back in, and they don't even suspect him. Kusta's going to walk right up there, takes down both Surreal and Ape, and then Sabrosa finally peeking out for Pit, shuts down Uber. The gun round goes by the way of CLG, and they're going to go up 1-3.
Yeah, what started as a great round for compLexity, we saw them try that strat yesterday when they were in that 4v5, and I kind of questioned it because they had that bomb solo on catwalk. But in a 5v5 scenario, they were able to get that plant, they were able to get bomb down, but with no catwalk control or anything like that, it turned sour real quick. This is a very CT-sided angle when you come up spawn like that, and especially when they're at Goose and at that single box. It's pretty easy kills there. So CLG able to get their first round on CT side off Goose's retake.
We will see compLexity forcing back into it, though, immediately. As we open up the round again, the missed off shot from Surreal won't catch any of them on the cross. Nobody playing towards mid in the opening few seconds of it, though, so compLexity, if they want to, are free to move in here and take control. A couple seconds later, after the fast cat, we could see one of them shifting back in. But for now, actually, it is just going to be, I believe, Cutler again with the up in hand, posting himself up on that position there, the drop away spot, waiting to see if they'll try to take early cat control once more.
Yeah, and you see the adjustment he's making, right? The first time he was peeking fully and he got blind, and now it looks like he's trying to dodge flashes and then he'll peek out and shoot.
Waiting for it now, and there you
perfectly.
go. Yep.
Gets depth. And that's one of the reasons it's so difficult to push off that catwalk. If you don't have an op posted on that post-flash, it's really easy for that opper to peek out and kill those riflers. They opt to go into a walk split mid-B, peeking out middle. Surreal misses a frag that he should have gotten to even it up and put them in complete control of this round. Instead, they're walking out, still gets hazed. Crucial mistakes by CLG there as they run up towards window with the bomb. Opper is trying to watch the smoke. That's Surreal. They take the B site, and this is such a difficult retake to CLG. Looks like they're in position to save, or at least just try to get exits for now. Not much they could do here, man. When it's 3v5, B site's completely taken, you're smoked out CT spawn, and your rotates late, you have 0 openings to win this. So
Ethan really just hunting for any additional players he could find to bait. It's actually a great flashbang, and he'll capitalize on that, but immediately the repeat comes out from 8 through the doorway. There's the punishment. He'll get the kill, but it's at a cost of his own drop there. And now the final two, obviously, are nowhere near the combat zone. They're both going to be falling away to save, as you mentioned earlier. So compLexity will escape with this traded round, and they get to take the lead again here, going up 4-1 now.
Yeah, and as soon as Cole saw that mid to B smoke and they knew an Opera was there as well, Hayes was just made it really, really easy on them to get that initial pick. Just peeking the doors like that. It looked like he might have wanted to throw in a flash or a Molotov, but just not the timing that you want. You have the round in your control. You know they're walking out mid-B. Smoke out the doors, use your nades defensively, and make them commit, especially when it's 4v5.
There's that first mistake there, too, with Surreal picking up the kill. This opens up the bomb site wide for these guys to push directly into it. And despite the fact that it was even, too, they had no idea it was going to be rolling that quickly outside, so they were able to take control pretty fast. And now, despite the fact that we do see one saved gun, it is not enough for CLG to be able to justify them buying into this. Cutler, the only big gun on the table, misses his first top shot. The quick jump up, though, up onto the platform here does allow him to find the kill, and then Hayes chimes in with the second one. So all of a sudden, compLexity are looking so good. Sabroza gets a dink onto one of these guys.
Never take that battle. You have them completely pinned. Cutler has bomb and an op around the big box and back plat. No reason to push up tunnel there.
But he will lose his life in that exchange. And now the remaining 3 from compLexity are stuck here at the entrance to the B tunnels with 3 CTs waiting at the other end. Now one of them also armed with an AK. He's still working with a MAC-10 as well. They're going to try to push out. Molotov doing damage, and there's Ethan spotting 1, 2 through the smoke. He's going to look for that third one. Surreal's able to push out, but he's instantly shut down by Cutler. And there you have it. CLG shut it down in what was essentially a full eco round with the exception of that op. And they come back 2-4 now.
Yeah, huge round by them, man. Cutler saving that off was extremely key. Able to get that kill, somehow not get traded out. He definitely should have died there. But regardless, they did have 3 guys on the B site. Cutler was there with an off, and compLexity gets punished for running the same anti-eco 3 times in a row.
Now for compLexity here, having to go onto one of their own ecos. Of course, just grouping up and looking to take early mid control. We've even got extra aggression moving out long here from CLG in the event they decided to fast push it there. Was not going to be the case, but again, you have players like Kusta positioned, I believe, behind the bricks over there on Cat, waiting for what they're now shifting into, which is going to be moving in for full control here, while you have both Sabroza and Ethan at the exit to long.
This is actually a 1-deagable spot. Depp could definitely get this kill. It's difficult, but it could happen. As you see, he gets dinked down to 21. Kusta forced to play very defensively and throw his Molotov. But Ethan right there, that should be a shooting gallery, man. He should be able to get so many kills, flashing and peeking. Instead, they opt to play a retake. I completely disagree with that, man. That's where you could stop the bomb plant, get 3 kills on the cross. All of a sudden, this round actually becomes dangerous. This isn't the easiest round to win.
And now we're going to see the CTs rotating back in, but just note, Kusta down at 2 HP. Obviously, he's pretty much completely knocked out of the wayside for this one. They try to Molotov Surreal. He will get hit by that flashbang, so that allows for Hayes to grab that kill. Android also going down, but Uber finally going to be able to finish off Kusta. Ethan just tapping away at these players, though, as they move back in for that control. They've isolated both Def and Uber down to the CT spawn. Def's going to try to run completely around. They know they don't have this here, and unfortunately for Def, there's nothing he can do. So he runs into the upper tunnels and looks to save.
Yeah, dropping down to CT spawn there instead of taking the fights on Catwalk. It was planted for them. But the reason that's dangerous is because it's actually pretty, we see it all the time. When you're on that elbow spot and they're running across long or spawn, unless they get their ball time flash, like if you have a deagle, you could seriously get like 3 kills. So it is dangerous. But compLexity not able to do anything. Their post plants, they didn't really have a plan. They didn't know what to do in that situation. And CLG survives that round, still has the double op. compLexity getting the bomb down, able to fully buy up on this 8th round. And CLG looking to tie it up 4-4 if they win this one.
So compLexity again, grouping up towards mid, this time using the lower tunnels to get control of it instead of just the group up, the normal group up. Well, you have Kusta and Ethan watching out for pressure from these doors. Kusta, though, a bit overexposed. He's going to try to go for the timing shot. Doesn't get it. Ethan looking for a trade, having some trouble with it, but he does get that and an additional kill, but overpeaks the doorway, and that's where Surreal is going to pick up the second one for the T side here. Evens it out into a 3-on-3. They, of course, still do spot the bomb at mid, but that means nothing, as this is still the usual spot where the Ts almost always go.
Yeah, and compLexity has control over this round. They're 3v3, and they know that there's 2 guys towards the A site, only 1 guy towards B. They should be keeping eyes on that, and Surreal is. It's very important that he has this information.
Hayes again picking up the op in just in the nick of time, too. Gets a nice shot on the Surreal. Well, the one onto him is a complete miss. In the meantime, though, Sabroza working his way in on the flank, trying to connect some shots. At the very least, he isolates them to the bottom of mid in those lower tunnels there. Finally, gets the peek from Xbox on 8, shutting him down with that. And Hayes, at the command of his teammate, is ready to peek back out here just to finish things off. The flashbang tossed over, it doesn't connect. Hayes tries to jump, but it's a little high. Doesn't realize Surreal sitting right around the corner. Cutler finding one with the up, though. And now it's just on Uber in the 1v2. 30 seconds on the clock as well, so time isn't really in his favor. Needs to try and get himself onto a bomb site. More passive style being deployed by Cutler, so he is going to wait behind the smoke, which will allow Uber to get up and get this bomb onto the ground. But now comes the difficult part here. Thankfully for him, Sabroza took a route all the way back in through long, so he's pretty far away from this bomb site. They will not have enough time to line up a tunnel flank, which means he's only got to deal with the 2 just outside here, but at the same time, he's used his only bit of utility to hold them back and initially find this plant. He's going to push back out, catches one of them unawares. See the second one pushing in for mid right now, doesn't catch him immediately, and Cutler with a pistol is going to finish off the final 1v1. Again, it's another round for CLG. They're going to go up 4-4 and tie this game.
Yeah, and they played that well in that 2v1. I don't necessarily agree with Sabroza's route. I think as soon as he caught wind of them going out middle, he probably should have taken a more aggressive position towards B tunnels. But the way they held the 2v1, it's very often that they push outside of the site. So Cutler was holding for that window peek. Uber's able to peek out the doors and kill that guy. But at the same time, Cutler's there for the trade. And Cutler wasn't visible from the doors, so Uber probably wasn't 100% ready for it. Probably thought he might have been coming from tunnel. And now compLexity on a very odd buy going up against a double op setup. And this is great positioning by Kusta. This is exactly what you want to do. When you have a double op setup and they don't have the utility or resources to really clear all of these angles, you can make it 4v5 time after time again. And as we see, Kusta takes an aggressive position towards Xbox, gets that kill on Dep, and now compLexity has terrible positioning, bad guns, they can't push back Kusta on Palm Tree, and Kusta makes it 3v5 all on his own.
Is he going to challenge the next one here as the flashbang misses, and another great flick from Kusta. Almost on the cusp of an ace here now, too. He's actually going to get the final 2 peek in from mid. It's another downward flick on the Uber, and the final one. Kusta just dominates compLexity on the force buy, and now they take the lead.
Dude, and that's the Kusta we used to see when he was on, Selfless. Just a great opper, nice flicks by him. Just aggressive opping, doesn't get punished, doesn't whiff, and hits some really great shots, man. That's one for the highlight reel.
Very well played indeed. And now, again, that puts his team not only into the lead itself, but obviously a confident one, since the buy here from compLexity is going to be very, very weak. Trying to fast push, apologies, out long, but immediately stuffed away because of the, not only this HG grenade, which technically misses, but also the Molotov too, stopped him from moving. However, Sabroza just goes for the full spray into the doorway.
Ever, going up against an eco, ever want to peek long doors at that crack. It's the most one-deagable spot probably on Dust2. Never want to do it.
But he does decide to go for it there, which ultimately leads to his downfall. One of these members will get knocked out early on here from the CLG side, leaving them without a Sabroza to work with here. teammate will take his place, but there's also going to be Uber catching Kusta back in mid too. Nice shot from Uber to take down Kusta. And now they line up for a cat hit when they only have Cutler with the op. And Ethan watching out for the long hit to defend this play. They're actually going to completely abandon long, and with good reason too. They get the read on this. They're going to be suspecting this to only work its way from Cat. However, patience from Uber doesn't take that scout shot when he had one of them lined up. And now the smoke goes in there. They can push in. They're both stacked together here. We do see Def finding that first kill with the Deagle. Hayes holds one back in mid, but however, his teammates being overwhelmed up on the site. Cutler finding one more with his own pistol. And we see the 3 remaining Ts take good control. It's all on Hayes in a 1v3, and he's dealing with fully upgraded guns at this point as well.
Yeah, shows his presence on Cat. Looks like he's going to opt towards CT spawn. He can win this, though. Ape's pretty out of position here. Could be a kill on him. And like I said, man, when you're coming up on that A ramp, it's actually pretty CT-sided angles. So he has a chance, but missing that kill pretty much eliminates any chance that he has. Gives up his spot, doesn't get the kill, and now he's looking to save his op.
Running away from it here now. Obviously just going to be looking to play away with it. Hoping he can catch maybe 1 or 2 guys pushing him. compLexity, though, making things happen with a pretty unsuspecting buy again, as we saw actually a couple rounds back. These guys have been trading ecos quite heavily, to be completely honest. That's like the 3rd or 4th eco round. We may have seen one so far in this half.
Yeah, we really have. And so compLexity won 1 there. CLG had Cutler at that op on B, and the 5-7s and the USP supporting them. He was able to win that round for CLG. But do you see what I mean? Like when Kusta had that ace, I don't see that potential for Cutler to get that. Like you put Cutler in that same spot, I don't think he succeeds like Kusta did there. And that's why I think Kusta should be opping, because his beak is much higher.
It seems like, again, they're letting him play a lot more aggressively like he did when he used to play on what was enemy at the time and is now selfless. When he was on Liquid, he played a lot more passively, and I think that really hurt his play style, and now he's, at least in this match, at the very littlest, he's been allowed to play that more aggressive angle and sort of play to his own game there, which is where I think his strengths shine a lot better.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Early on here again, compLexity just going for the usual mid group up. We see a lot more active defense being deployed towards mid this time from CLG, as both Hayes and Ethan are going to be going here. However, Team Flash against Def holds back his initial push here, at least for a few seconds. Good reason about it, though.
It's so easy to read the compLexity default, though. They do the same exact thing. They flash over Cat so that you could peek towards Cat from lower. Then they flash out middle and clear close middle. Then they group up Cat and throw a flash and peek. And it's like, all of this could be very easily read. As you see, Cutler reads it right there again. He knows exactly what's happening. It's just so easy to read. You know exactly, like, you know when you do algebra in like 7th grade and they teach you the order of operations?
Yeah.
It's the same order of operations for them every single time. And if you're a good CT side player, you're going to recognize that and be able to exploit it, as we see CLG does right now.
There's just no variance to it, and while they may catch Kusta off guard, as he's paying a little bit more attention over there towards the mid hit for some reason, even though Ethan is there to support it. Just a moment here, we are going to see the 2 remaining players from compLexity really be forced to make a move. Fortunately for them, Surreal's already down. They do get the smoke, but again, that'll be very, very obvious with the deployed smoke out here, even though it'll give them room. If this first player at 100 HP gets knocked out, obviously Surreal at 12 HP has very low hopes of clutching a 1v4. This would be an incredible play if he could do it, especially considering the position he's working from. Not going to happen. Kusta easily manages this final 2.
Yeah, he's on point. He's hitting some nice shots. He looks very crisp, very clean every time he's getting a kill. 14 and 7 for him, so really showing up here. And you know, that's like the game within the game. You know, it's easy to say, okay, Dust2 default, we do this, then we take cat control, then we do whatever we want. But there's a game within the game where every player has to know, you know, how they switch it up to not make it look like the same thing, as compLexity opts for this 5-man long take. CLG giving it up though. They should have complete. They should know exactly where all of them are. They hear them from catwalk so easily here. compLexity is probably going to have to take out towards long here, because it's so easy for them to be in lower B tunnel and things like that. CLG pushes up middle, has them contained, and now the smokes on the cross come. I think there's 3 there, flashes in the air, and they're just going to bulldoze across and try to get this point.
So they'll move up to the site here now. CLG actually does yield them a little bit of room, but in comes Kusta, already impacting from down below. A second frag for him.
Beautiful smokes by compLexity, as we see there, covering a good 4th of the cross, making it so difficult on the CLG members.
Kusta is given those kills essentially, as the entire hit goes to, well, just goes to shit real quick.
Yeah, Depp on a great flank though. Cutler's not aware of this at all. Should be able to get this kill in the back and be able to probably win this retake. I was like, this is a pretty easy. Actually, the bomb is down, but Depp does have a smoke, so it should be retrievable. As Hayes pushes up there, he might be able to get this kill on Depp. We'll see. This could decide the round, and that will probably decide it right there.
Now it's going to come down to Uber, obviously. He's got the final two isolated closer to CT. He hasn't spotted the second man moving into smoke, though, but he's also not peeking to the angle that he's playing towards here. Trying to wrap out towards it. There we go. Finally, he's moving his way out into the open. We'll see the final shot connect. This is CLG again, going ahead 7-5. And I don't believe the money is really going to allow compLexity to go for that big of a buy here. Probably just upgraded pistols for most.
Wow. I just...
it literally is like a perfect box as well. I think there's that second smoke up on platform too, so it's not even like anybody that made it across could try to jump down and surprise.
I mean, my goodness. They almost threw the round back though, because like Uber, it's so easy to kill those guys CT spawn when you peek from sight. Just misses on Kusta, but had he killed Kusta there, he probably would have won that round.
Again, Kusta impacting back over here by mid, solo playing it as well. Finds the shot onto 8, and also I believe spots quite a few of the player base, so you've got that default red once more. No variance at all from compLexity. The only question remaining as well, are they going to mid to B at this time, or are they going to go for cat again? The Molotov as well, that is a bit dangerous, that could actually spread over to 8, but he's able to get out of that in time. Won't be connecting with any of the additional damage that rolls in from that one. So these guys are good, but obviously you still need to find the entry or two here to allow them to even start a site take, which is going to be the hardest part about this one. We do see Def sneaking his way further up onto Cat, but immediately Ethan on top of the trash pile there, finding one. Cutler baiting out the second one. Ethan even grabbing another one here, and while Kusta doesn't necessarily connect from the window, Ethan just handling this all on his own until Kusta can get into position, shuts it down. The eco round doesn't yield any results at all for compLexity. And finally, we have CLG with a semi-solid lead starting to form here.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. Like, I'm getting so triggered. Like, we saw it yesterday. Just the most basic smokes completely whiffing. You can't just cross long when there's a spawn or an op, a double op setup, and you don't even smoke out CT spawn. It's just so ridiculous, man, how you make the same mistakes yesterday, and you still don't correct them for today. Just, like, I'm actually frustrated. I mean, they should be like, I would be so furious right now if I was Warden or Ape, I believe is their strat caller. I would be beyond furious. But we see them. We see the same mistakes constantly. Anyways, Ethan backing up Kusta here, ready for that pop flash. That's probably going to come out towards middle. And there it is.
Ethan actually being blinded by it too, but the same problem as Surreal also got hit by it, so it's really just a bit of an awkward exchange between the two teams where nobody finds the other one, and compLexity is backed up. CLG also, with these uses of utility, just completely get control over compLexity too, because now they're going to stop them from moving out to mid to find that extra kill or two, and it's almost like they're forcing them to go for this cat play again.
Well, it's the same order of operations that we talked about earlier. They throw that flash and they try to clear close middle, and Ethan was actually positioned perfectly for it, and so was Kusta, but they weren't able to get anything out of it because Surreal got blinded by his teammate and ran back. But had he not gotten blinded by his teammate, he probably would have just went out and died to a
Not the first time that Surreal has flashed himself by a teammate flash either. I think that's happened like 2 or 3 times when he's tried to push out, so that's also becoming a consistent theme. Finally, though, they're actually pretty quiet about this moving out. Finally, they don't find anybody from CLG hanging on here, and Hayes gets wrecked immediately. Kusta unscopes it, probably the worst possible time for that one. So compLexity catch a lucky break. They're able to rush right up to this site with no reaction at all from the CLG side until they even cross into the doorway there. So they bring this into a 4-on-2, and obviously with that much of a shutdown happening, I don't even believe Sabros and Cutler are going to look to retake.
And mid to B has been where they've gotten their 2 gun rounds. They won it with the op leading in the 4v5. They won the pistol in those 2 rounds, and then they won the anti-eco. So right now for 6 rounds, the 2 gun rounds that they've gotten are mid to B. So that seems to be a bit of CLG's weakness right now, as they weren't able to make it 4v5 or get any early round picks, and compLexity able to set up into mid B and take advantage of that.
So now for Cutler here, just waiting in the CT spawn area where we won't be catching anyone else for compLexity. They've taken a much safer route. Keep in mind, too, even though we go into the 15th round, their money was still not in a really great place. They'll have enough money for Def to rebuy. Would have been able to toss over guns, but, possibly running into the op at a long-range area where he could have picked off 2 or 3 others would have weakened the buy to a very large degree going into this last round. But for compLexity, they were able to build up a little bit more of a bank among those rounds, the round streak they did have going before this one. So they're not only able to get the double up set up, of course, but everybody else with a full buy once again here, too, for the 15th round.
Yeah, last round of the half, very important. They try to go fast cap. Kusta so aware of that, gets that kill. No flashes to push him back towards middle. And now we see another 4v5 in CLG's favor. Still have that double op setup. compLexity, they have decent map control. They're a bit spread out. We'll see what they opt for here. And Surreal right now going towards Xbox. That's a good angle for him. I don't think Kusta's going to re-peek, though. They seem to be giving up middle. They flash out middle again to peek, and Ethan right now angled out. Kusta angled out back plat. They have a good mid to be defense right now.
There's the first peek from Surreal, finding Cutler.
Great
They
shot.
still have to worry about Ethan wrapped around the corner, but again, they're actually going to fall away from the mid area now. Since they've gotten that kill close today, they're going to re-execute on Cat. Needing to catch on to this quickly, we are starting to see the rotations from CLG as Hazed wraps closer towards mid to watch out from there. Ethan, though, still stuck in CT, and obviously Sabrosa not anywhere near this action. He was still positioned back on long here, but the two CTs in the CT spawn moving quickly. Ethan finds one, but they both get traded back out immediately after that. It's all down to Sabrosa and Kusta at this point as compLexity take control of the bomb site, but Sabrosa now losing his two teammates, doesn't waste any more time in the pit area, goes back in there, and Surreal destroying Kusta. Sabrosa responds one more, but he's got this locked into a 1v2. Flashing on the cross, but it doesn't blind Surreal, so with that, compLexity are going to be able to round a bit of a comeback here. They'll bring this up to 8-7. They did falter there in the mid-half, but were able to bring it back. So we have a close match, guys. You're going to want to stick around for the second half. It's coming up here just a little bit at the ESL Pro League.
He's gonna get the one kill in that bomb. Coming down to the side. FNX has to stay up. Oh, he gets the triple FNX. Oh my god, what a way to win that round. They don't have a smoke, so this orb is still.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Soylent, Xfinity, Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, The Score Esports, Mountain Dew, and ESEA.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have a close match here between CLG and compLexity. compLexity struggling there on their T side, but they did actually manage to round it back and bring us to a very close 8-7 scoreline. CLG holds the lead, but now they themselves have to jump onto their T side. Dazed, your thoughts on the first half? compLexity not bringing the best show on their T side.
No, just really basic mistakes. We saw they didn't correct it from the last time they played. But that last round was very well played by them. As soon as they got the kill at A, they recognized Ethan has been playing CT spawn. A was basically open. They did a somewhat quick take on it, and were able to take that A site pretty freely. And now we see CLG's T side coming up, and three guys towards the B tunnel, one guy middle, one guy long, so mainly a default setup. Depth, just that timing is never going to work out for you. By the time you get boosted fast cat, if you peek palm tree like that and they come from lower quick, they're always going to see your head. So they get pushed off quick. Two guys dinked already on compLexity, but Depth hits an incredible shot, and now it's Sub-Rose is going to come up to try to trade.
3 players dinked now from compLexity, though, so the damage is prime. It's just CLG have to be a little bit more careful about the way they peek this, and obviously making sure they connect those final shots themselves. Surreal hitting the smokes that we can see Depth going a little bit more freely for the peek, and obviously we see some of the T's rotating back here now. It was a full rotate from compLexity. They all grouped up here over towards the A bomb site, but now they're starting to see the shift. They don't realize they fell back here. There's not as much pressure working its way in as CLG makes a last second change up here and tries to work this over.
4! I've never seen this before.
It's amazing that not one of them has been hit by like a stray bullet or something just to knock them out. So now they're going to change it up again. CLG going towards A now. They were in the B tunnels, but now they've changed it for another time. Finally, one of them getting knocked out. Ape is still sitting at 100 HP, but Kusta is sitting back. He might have himself a shooting gallery. There's one for him. He doesn't have to deal with a 100 HP player here. There's the second one. Just picking them off one by one. The last one alive is going to be Ape. Kusta will not take him down, but Cutler finishes the job.
That great job by Kusta there. You know, that actually becomes... So how the catwalk works is when they push through the mid doors is it becomes increasingly CT sided the more you push up towards the Xbox, right? When you're at that Xbox area and the CT's pushed behind you to where Kusta is, it's more and more CT sided. But the farther back you are towards like the palm tree, then it becomes more T sided. So Kusta does a really good job of just crouching back there, getting at angles where he's going to have the advantage. And with 4 players dinked on compLexity, he's able to kill 3 even when it's not called. And CLG, we see they go fast long, so a bit of the opposite that we saw compLexity and how they took their anti-ecos, as they have 2 scouts towards the middle. And now with long control, we'll see what they opt for after this. But it is dangerous, man. 2 scouts, especially long range like this, could really mess up your day if you're CLG.
Ape not wanting to test the waters with it just yet here, though. They are trying to see if they can bait them out first. Eventually, though, progress does need to be made, and we can see Kusta pushing forward here, taking the very, very slow route as we normally expect in this second round. The cross smoke coming in now from Kusta so that they can engage here, along with the follow-up flashbang. Very well played positionally. However, he has no teammates to support him there, and with that little tiny hole in the smoke, we are able to see Uber push back in there and take down Kusta with the CZ. He was alone on that push-up ramp, and there's no follow-up on it from any of his teammates. They're actually both just going to fall back now and they'll regroup in mid. We do have a player, though, waiting for the push from Surreal. They punished that at the very least, and now they've evened it back up into a 4-on-4 again.
Yeah, CLG is looking pretty sloppy here, but they do have an opening at the B site or mid to B if they want to take it, but B site is better. It's a good call by them going towards that upper B tunnel. It's going to be on Android here to get, make some magic happen with his dig. We've seen it time and time again, though. It's a nice 1 dig there onto Cutler. Does get traded off by Sabrosa, and Sabrosa, you need to throw the smoke on the doors. There you go. Don't take unnecessary damage because this round is not over. Jumping scouts, especially coming from window, could do a lot of damage. But it is very CLG sided right now, having that B site.
Ape with the secondary scout moving in with Uber into the tunnels, and we have Deft actually just waiting back by CT. Sabrosa, I think he spotted the first peek. He does actually get dropped down to 20 HP from that scout, but still, the worst of the damage has been done here. Now Uber picking it back up. We'll look to try and finish the job on Sabrosa. He's got no reason to peek, though, and it's perfectly played. They just bait it out. Hayes goes for the much closer up peek there around the box area, shuts down Uber, and there's no reason for Def to play this out here. He's just going to fall back and save the scouts, so they have some kind of gun power in that 3rd round.
Yeah, very, very good job by Sabrosa there, not over peeking and peeking. We've talked about it before. You don't want to stay posted there. You want to peek out every 5 or so seconds when you don't have an op. If you have an op, it's fine to be posted, but we see a nice 1 dig by Android there. Not able to hit any other shots. I wonder what his sensitivity is. His sensitivity looked really low on that second, flick. Like his mouse only moved like freaking 2 inches or something. I'd be curious.
Maybe he has one of those buttons.
Are you talking about he's cheating?
No. There's
them?
mice with the buttons that change your sensor, your DPI.
To change the DPI? Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, he probably has a mouse like that because a lot of mice now have that, but I don't know if that, if he accidentally hit it or anything. That's usually all the way at the bottom of your mouse, so it's usually tough to accidentally hit that.
I've had a couple mice on it where it's right at the thumb position.
Blue, you're playing WoW and you have mice with 48 buttons on them.
I don't have that mouse.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't. I used to. I don't have it anymore, though.
Blue, I've seen your home. You have knife collections, sword collections.
What are you talking about?
The wallpaper is Azeroth wallpaper.
Not true at all, okay? But
yeah, you collect stamps.
The worst part is people actually believe you, probably.
You have a great stamp collection that you showed me. It was very impressive.
Well, on this...
Falling with your grandfather over it and your coin collection. It's an exciting Saturday afternoon.
Jesus Christ. You called me a bully.
Well, I'm getting you back, all right?
You're getting me back?
Yeah. I'm getting you back for bullying me when I first
got here. That was like a
here.
private conversation. You're just you're just roasting me on stream.
That's not a private conversation.
Well, this isn't. All right, we have a gun round in front of us now, and CLG's going to go for a fast push long. Little do they know, there's 3 players from the CT side waiting for them. We do see Cutler finding the first one, but he gets hit by an HE grenade, bringing him down very low, trying to get away from this one now. Gets that extra smoke support, somehow gets out of here alive. With 9 HP, he escapes, and they actually end up with the man advantage after that, too.
Yeah, man advantage, but Cutler is down to 9 HP, able to get that entry and also fall off. So now we see CLG. It's very tough to stop that long take. That's one of the toughest things on Dust2. You really want to time your flashes and getting to pit properly, and if you don't, it's very difficult to hold. Color able to rarely get a kill and actually get out of there. And now the CT's in a bit of a scramble mode in that 4v5 scenario. Almost no utility out of them. They have a smoke and a flash. B tunnels is smoked right now, but they opt to group up at B here. Not sure who the B player is for. It is Android. So we saw last time we got that kill with the Deagle, and we'll see what he can do this time.
Getting ready now for these guys to push themselves into the site. Android already finding some good damage on the first one here. Looking for more pickups as they do cross in. He's playing it very passively too. Waits for the teammate flashbang. Able to pick up like 1.5 kills, and there's Ape to finish up the other half of Sabrosa there. Kusta, one of the last players left alive. Now we did also see Cutler sneaking in too at that 9 HP, if you remember too, from the volley exchange over at Long from the beginning of this round, but he survived. Unfortunately, he'll lose his teammate support. Cutler now with that 9 HP is the last man standing and only 20 seconds to impact here.
Looks but that was a good lurk by Cutler. I know people are seeing him last alive and probably saying, Bader, what is he doing? But that was actually a great lurk.
No, yeah.
Like, if you have a four-man push into B tunnel, you should expect that the B site's going to be taken, and you getting that lurk on Catwalk is almost certainly going to clinch the round as he comes into a 1v2. It's impossible for him to win it here now. But that was a good lurk by him, and Android with a great hold, and that lack of utility didn't have any effect on compLexity because Ape used his flashbang perfectly to help Android out there. And that was a great hold by Android and also Ape at that B site.
So compLexity battling back a little bit here, picking up their first gun round of the half and sending CLG into, well, what could be their last buy round for a little bit here, as they're going to pretty much empty out their bank account for this one. AKs, they do manage to afford the op buy onto Kusta, so they're giving that to him on this T side, and Cutler just walks right out and destroys the head of Uber, taking him down. He does try to look for more inside of that smoke, though, and that's where he's not only going to get flashed, but Def is able to peek out from the smoke, gets the trade. Things go into a 4-on-4, and again, CLG will group up in mid, but also very fast in pushing their way out towards the, the CT side of mid here, too. Ape is waiting around that box position. We have the peek a little bit further back. Surreal catching the first one, and the second one here. So pretty much shutting it down into a 3-on-2. Hayes is going to see if he can sit back here and wait. Kusta's at 2 HP, can't push without team support, but Hayes is a really good position to punish one more, and somehow Kusta got that kill on the B side as well against Android. So
yeah, with only 2 HP as well. So that really makes this very CLG-sided in this 2v1, and what looked like was going to be a compLexity round. No mid to B smoke, no control over there to stop that A rotate, and they still are able to make it work for CLG. And now Surreal trying to retake B with a smoke on the door, and even though Hazed and Kusta have 2 and 33 and 23 health, only 25 health combined, it's really easy to hold this. You just make sure you just shoot him in the back while he checks 30 different angles. And you should be able to win this here. As Hayes hides inside the smoke, able to get that kill. And now CLG 12-8, compLexity on a save round. And what I thought was surely going to be a compLexity round goes into the favor of CLG, and now they are in a commanding lead. They'll probably do that anti-eco, where you just have one spot mid with Kusta, 4 towards B maybe. Nope, looks like Hayes is going to keep the bomb, and it's going to be a little bit of a variation. Great shot onto Android, right through the smoke. That's going to prompt Ethan to rush B with his Mac 10, scout it out, takes complete control, and now they have all of B site. Don't know what I'm watching there, Blue. So I'm just gonna hand it over to you.
Ethan's looking every which possible way as he looks for that kill outside, checking too many angles at once. Tries to have like 8 eyes there, so he will eventually get that kill, but no response at all from the compLexity side. However, up at top mid, Surreal and Uber finding 2 of their own. Surreal hunting for a little bit more, trying to edge his headshot angle here at the top barrel. Working for a second there as he gets a little bit of damage off on a Haze, but ultimately it just gets knocked to this one. So for Uber, he's the last man standing here, trading out his SMGs slowly. A little mini upgrade for himself, but ultimately, again, just sitting back here to save, as CLG will be able to edge out their 13th.
Yeah, compLexity in a really bad spot, man. Dust2, generally speaking, can be pretty T-sided. Looks like CLG is playing really well, and when compLexity, it doesn't seem like they have a great answer to the long take. They haven't taken complete control. CLG hasn't, but they've gotten enough like out of it to really help them win rounds here. So we see Kusta, it's a great shot there on Android. But compLexity, man, it's looking rough here as they have to save again. Should be 8-14 after this one.
The only gun they managed to scavenge to from those 2 eco kills they picked up was that single SMG sitting on Uber here. So not the greatest firepower in the world. They don't even really try to go for like a half buy here down to the 2K mark with pistol armor pickups. They're just using those P250s, and Ape doesn't buy anything at all. He's just going to stick with the USP. Ethan, though, looking for his first way out through mid. He's going to take down Android. We have the fast guy coming in, but Hayes handling this very well, taking down 2 players there. Already clearing this out. We've got 1 player trying to peek his way, and it's with the SMG2 into the tunnels, but that's destroyed without any response. Nothing being found here at all from compLexity. Def obviously isn't going to do anything in a 1v5.
Yeah, and I don't know, that game within the game that compLexity is playing, like I talked about earlier, where like you just have the same order of operations. I mean, when you're playing against players, like the way you want to think about the game is how does it look from their point of view? You know, like it's so obvious what I'm doing. It's so obvious, like when it comes to countering, like their T side, and now their CT side is so basic. It's the game within the game is what's really, you know, they're struggling with. It's really easy to read. It's really easy to predict what they're doing, and they're not making CLG have to like think and have to do anything, you know, differently. They just play so basic, and you know, when you play like that and you're playing at this level, a lot of the time you can get really taken advantage of.
So Def is obviously not going to be able to pick anything up here towards the end. It's not even like he saves anything that great either. Unfortunately, does just want to place himself in a bit of an angry situation, so he makes it out of the round with the P250. But of course, now comes what could be actually the last real buy up here from the compLexity side. They've got the op on Surreal. Even with some of these guys, though, like you look at Android specifically, utility's not that great. They get the basics like smokes on everybody, but Molotovs and whatnot for some of these guys is going to be a rare commodity. So we need to make sure that they use these appropriately. And again, though, they've been doing this for a lot of the halves so far. Fast take out onto long. Good, well-placed Molotov, though, allows Uber to punish the initial push. And they've got Cutler stuck behind the dumpster position, too. No way any teammates can support him. However, Ethan's going to take the risk on it. He pushes out through the Molotov there, finds himself stuck on the dumpster. This is where Cutler needs to move out and support. He will. Thankfully, holds these guys back in the pit. The nades, too, going to do some more damage. In fact, it almost chases the CT player Uber down into the depths where he would have gone down. Now they're trying to hold it. Kusta tries to time shot, but this is just barely, almost a leg shot into Ape. Not going to hit, though. And it looks like things are going to calm down a little bit here as the CTs do smoke it back off to retreat. Def has got 1 more kill to pick up, and he almost finds Kusta, too. He manages to get out of there just in time with about 30 HP or so. Yeah,
and Ape goes off a really early rotate off mid B and just goes and supports A really quickly. And I actually like that a lot against any A take. Although he does die in city spawn, and Kusta gets the kill on Uber, and it's all falling apart for compLexity. Every time we think that they should have a round win, and they have them cornered, and they know where they are, and they have the angles on them, consistently CLG is able to just get crucial kills, and because of compLexity just peeking angles that they really shouldn't be challenging. Dev gets a nice kill on Sub-Rosa there, and now Ethan and Kusta in terrible spots. We'll see if Kusta can win this. Dies to Android, and compLexity able to win that 2v3. But compLexity compLexity just gives their advantages up in so many and takes so many unnecessary risks that they really don't need to. Even Uber leaving the pit there made 0 sense to me. You know, he's in pit with 10 HP. Yes, they know where you are, but that's where you want to be. You could play a headshot angle. Not only can you play a headshot angle, but Dep's in the pit with you. They probably don't realize that Dep's even in the pit with you. They might, but even if you think that they know, they might not. And that's going to be able to not only play a headshot angle if you're Uber, but Dep's just going to be able to bait you. And even if you die at a headshot angle with 10 HP where you want to be, you don't need to leave the pit there.
So compLexity just barely inching that one out due to CLG making some more aggressive movements towards the end of that round. They do end up giving up the 3-on-2 there. It gives compLexity a little bit more life to get back into this match, and we're also going to see CLG not going for the initial aggressive long push that they've been fond of here in some of the earlier rounds. So Uber just going to stick around to defend this, though. And 3 others from the CLG side are grouping up to push towards Cat. Def will look to get in the way of this sitting on top of the trash pile. But obviously this could still go really all over the map with these players still being positioned across it at this point.
I've been seeing that spot more and more often. You see Cold play it, actually. He plays it quite often. You play on that barrel, and they do any sort of A-take, and they drop spawn. Basically, people don't check it, and you're able to get some pretty easy kills. You also punish anybody, I believe, that's standing on the bricks pretty easily. So it's a spot that's being used more and more often, and I hope they go up catwalk so I can see it here. I want to see how it works. Out for Dep.
Still waiting for that decision to be made, though, as compLexity are also playing a heavy 3 on the site while not watching mid at all. There is an opening for a push in there if they want to, but now the time is getting a little bit lower. compLexity will start to use their utility to hold these guys back. The Molotov from Ethan, not going to be going down to that spot there. It is going to go further back onto the site platform, though. Surreal waiting for it, able to support Def a little bit here, but Surreal just gets destroyed by Cutler on the initial push. We still do not see the peek at all from Def, though. He's maintained quietness all this time. Now, though, the Molotov going further back down towards CT. Gets the angle against Kusta. Both players are going to miss, but Def is in a hot spot regardless. He's surrounded by 3 of these Ts at this point. They move in to hunt him down. That's where Cutler is going to be able to strike. Final 2 CTs working their way out from their spawn. And Cutler also hunting them down too, but they do manage to get to that smoke. Doesn't mean they're safe, though. Cutler finding 1. That eliminates Android. 8 trades, but Sabrosa kills the long player. It's going to fall to 8, but he's in a 1v4. He'll eventually get knocked out by Kusta. And there you have it. CLG trades out around again, getting them up to match point, and also completely breaking any serious buy that compLexity would be able to have going into what could be a final round here.
Yeah, and Surreal, just Cutler just getting that entry. Something that shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be able to swing off catwalk and kill that opper. It does happen sometimes. I mean, I would never rely on that to just straight peek an opper on land because it's just more and more CT-sided as the ping gets lower and lower. But Cutler just able to get a great entry onto Surreal there and just run across catwalk. No spawn drop, nothing. I don't really think that's a good strategy, but it works out for him. So what can you say, right?
Yeah.
If it works, it works.
The shoe fits.
Yeah, the shoe fits.
So CLG just getting ready now with 3 of their players. At the moment, just wide peeking the B tunnels here too. Nobody from compLexity is even really able to confidently challenge this, considering their guns are so weak. More than likely, CLG is just going to wreck them if they try to do anything about this here, unless they're able to get lucky with the deagle or something like that and find a nice early shot.
Yeah, tough for compLexity to win this round. Whenever people force buy and they play any type of like a default, or especially if they give up long or anything like that, it's actually a pretty easy round to win when you're on the tees on Dust2.
Good response from Kusta there.
It's a great entry there. Ape right in front of the smoke. Only has a CZ though, and you're maxing out on 2 kills there generally with a CZ and 12 bullets. So Hayes gets the alert kill. 4v2, Surreal's gonna have to have a huge round and go huge here. Gets 1 kill onto Ethan.
But immediately loses an additional teammate further across the map here. Surreal actually pushing in. He's going to be able to get onto the bomb, and he doesn't have a kit, unfortunately, so full 10 seconds, but he's going to stick it. And they're creeping back in here now, too. Hayes with 14 HP being a little bit cautious, but he does eventually shut it down due to Surreal's commitment onto it there. So CLG will take control of this first map. A little bit rough there in the first half, but compLexity, of course, showing some of their own struggles, specifically on CT side, do give CLG the advantage and allow them to take control of this first map.
Yeah, Battle of the Titans there, right?
Yeah.
And,
their win streak was going still, man. It's going strong. 2 wins now.
God, they're looking rough. That was rough. That's the only thing. I can't wait to hear what the analysts have to say about that.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to analyze there, Ryu?
Well, we have them waiting, so let's take it back down to them and see what exactly they have to discuss. Guys, what were your thoughts on that game?
I mean, I think that Dazed is right on. Give Kusta the op and see what happens.
That's what I wanted to see. I'm really disappointed in what I saw from compLexity. You know, like yesterday we saw them miss super basic smokes, right? It happens sometimes. Maybe you took a step and you shouldn't have, or you forgot the lineup or whatever. But to miss the same exact smokes, and we're not talking like running, jump throw, complicated, calculated smokes that they've discovered, like we see from Energy, right? Energy innovates all these new smokes. We're talking like if I queue up matchmaking on a brand new account, 7 of the 10 people in the server know how to throw the smokes compLexity can't throw.
It's like putting your shoes on.
It's probably easier than that. And for them to make the mistake one night, it's like, okay, you made the mistake, right? It's one night, whatever. We'll go back. You know, we're a team in a team house. We've got a coach. We'll find these mistakes and we'll fix them. And for them to make the same mistakes on something that basic it goes from mistake to accident.
Right.
I'm sorry. It goes
so
from like
hard
accident
right
and
now.
mistake to laziness.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe it. Like I'm surprised Daze was as tempered as he was, because I was sitting over there like losing my mind. I just like, we're talking about like a basic long A cross smoke.
Yeah.
You could throw that smoke.
Thanks, man. I'm pretty good at
Right
throwing
now,
grenades. All
in
right.
real life, you would land that smoke.
Well, let's take a look at one of the turning points, I guess, where CLG shouldn't have won around, but they actually did. They had 4 pistols, 1 op, I believe, here. Yeah, so this is it. And yeah, it wasn't in Kusta's hands at the time. It was in Cutler's hands. But nonetheless, this was a pretty big round for these guys.
Yeah, I think this just showed that. Like I said, it was going to be a 2-0. I feel like compLexity kind of outclasses the team and the quality of the individual players and skill-wise, but also the way they play is a little bit more traditional than we see from compLexity. And compLexity, a lot of their anti-ecos are going to be super basic, rush B, which I think they did a couple times on their anti-eco rounds. And this time there was a gun that was saved from the round prior, and they picked the wrong site. So Cutler's there to get a pick. They have some good utility that they pick up. They end up picking up a couple guns. They're using probably the most broken pistol in the game in the 5.7, and yeah, that's what happens when there's very little thought put into how to approach a round like that, and you guess the wrong site.
Yeah, and then they end up going to a double ops up. It was Cutler and then Kusta, and this was the ridiculous ace.
Yeah, I said it in the pregame. I love watching Kusta op. I think that he should be the primary opper. I think that he's got the skill. I think even today he's probably a better opper than Cutler. I don't know how much of it is him not wanting to op versus they want Cutler to op and they want Kusta to rifle. He had a really, really good game.
I think they were just tuning into the stream and they heard Daze and they heard you in the pregame going, oh, all right,
It's possible, yeah. And, so many of these rounds, so many of these kills with the op, I feel like that, right? Like that flashbang didn't blind him at all. Really nice shot from Kusta. But it's like he's like stat padding at this point, right? Like 8 up at the top of the up top mid there, just like in the open, it's an op, and everybody's kind of peeking like
there's
one
no
at a
reason to
time.
challenge, yeah.
Yeah, and then even later in that half, right? 29 kills. I mean, probably 26 of them were like gifts from compLexity. CLG moves to a double op setup on their CT side, and then you have players from compLexity just like running up middle. No flashes, no smokes. Like you know that there's 2 ops, so the odds of there being an op in middle is that much higher. Like, how do you die with a full nade set to an op mid on a double op set? Like, I don't know. It's just it was frustrating to me. compLexity has always been a brand, at least in my mind, maybe not for everyone's, just as an older guy, that has always been like a great brand for American Counter-Strike.
Yeah, it's a great org.
And seeing something like that, like I said, it feels like laziness, and I don't know if that's what it is, but if it is, it needs to get corrected because those guys are being paid to play the game, and these aren't like you missed a shot, right? Everybody misses shots. The best players in the world miss their shots, but to not get basic smokes down and to make that same mistake on the same map literally the next day, you don't even have to watch your demo to know, like, hey, yeah, we keep missing our long smoke. We got killed a couple rounds in a row on it yesterday. Yeah, we should probably figure out maybe the lineup is wrong.
You guys can't see it at home, but there's literally steam coming out of Ryu's ears at this point. But nonetheless, it's still a big win for CLG. They're going to try to avoid the relegation place in United. They're sitting at the bottom. But guys, I want to give a shout out to thescoreesports.com. If you guys are into stats and you want to see more details on that game or any game, really check it out. Download the app on your Android or iOS device at the Google Play App Store. And don't go anywhere. We're going to have the second map going on between these guys. And what map is it? It's Train. So we'll see you guys in a little bit on Train.